Attention, all long hitters and big bombers. If distance is what you are looking for in 2023, that's me and a lot of you. Today is your video because we are going the distance and reviewing what might be the longest driver of 2023, the COBRA Aerojet LS. All right, first off, if you are not paying attention or demoing or trying a COBRA driver, you have been missing out for years. They are, in my opinion, the most underrated driver company in golf, period. And this year, they are going all in on speed and aerodynamics. Hence the name Aerojet. And no, don't be mistaken for some budget airline with cardboard seats. This thing wants to get you swinging your absolute fastest by unlocking faster ball speeds, longer distances, all with some really fresh ideas on aerodynamics. Golf companies make claims all the time, but that's why we're here, for you. Put those claims to the test. So today, we're gonna put COBRAs to the test and find out if those claims about better ball speeds and even improved aerodynamics are actually legit and help you from hitting it behind your buddy to now putting it 5 or 10 yards in front of him. The Aerojet LS driver was built for golfers that demanded lower spin and lower launch. How they went about achieving that? COBRA is claiming that they have actually raised the skirt of the golf club to help with the symmetrical shaping and streamlining of the edges. Take a look at this picture. What you're gonna see is a red outline of what a traditional driver looks like compared to the more aerodynamic COBRA Aerojet LS. Listen, you and I have been playing that traditional shaped driver, the one in the red outline, for what seems like forever now, and it's worked pretty well. So, did COBRA actually do something that is improved over the traditional driver? Did they add actual ball speed by having a more aerodynamic driver? Let's find out. The Aerojet LS was designed specifically for golfers that demanded low spin and max distance. In addition to the aerodynamics and improved club design, COBRA is touting optimized spin with adjustable weighting, as you can see here in the blue weights on the sole. In theory, maximizing speed and spin reduction. And finally, and probably most important to you, COBRA wants to unlock faster ball speeds. So, how are they going to do that? Actually, by getting rid of an older technology called Power Core in the old LTDX LS, and now with the Power Bridge. So what the hell is Power Bridge technology, and how is that going to be better than last year and help you get better ball speeds? It's this right here, this bridge you see on the sole, which is fully suspended weights that are there to help supposedly allow you maximum energy transfer. Before we go, just a couple more quick things. Last year's LTDX had that thing called Hot Face. Really creative name. Love how golf companies come up with these. Anyway, still have that, but this year with a twist. The 2023 Aerojet LS gets something called Power Shell technology. Once again, all about improving your ball speeds and getting you a little bit of higher launch. And finally, we get a carbon crown and sole chassis that helps put more weight lower in the club that they say helps with stability. But I think it's all about one thing: distance. All right, moving on. Let's talk about tech specs and put these things mano a mano, head to head. 2023 Aerojet LS versus 2022 LTDX LS. Let's find out once and for all, is newer really better? All right, for starters, each model comes in the same two lofts, 9 and 10.5. When it comes to length, samesies, 45.5. Now, when it comes to lie angle, that's where the two drivers start to separate themselves. But I'll be honest, there is a lot of degrees in these things, so I'm gonna have to get my producer to throw up the numbers because we definitely want you to see the differences, but I can't remember all these numbers. All right, that's it for tech specs. Now let's get to the good stuff, the data, and find out if all this speed is gonna get you more distance. All right, remember, get ready to pause the video right now or take a screenshot if you wanna see all the data because we're getting ready to throw it up. All right, the thing everybody wants to know is this longer than last year's? And yes, it is, by 1.5 yards. So the 2023 Aerojet LS, 1.5 yards longer overall versus last year's 2022 COBRA LTDX LS. 1.5 yards doesn't sound that long, But just remember, in 2022, the COBRA LTDX LS finished third overall in distance, and it was only a half point behind from being first place. So obviously, COBRA knows something about going long off the tee and going all in on distance. All right, so now that you've seen how this year's model compared to last year's, how did it actually compare to all the drivers in 2023? Well, get your pause finger out or your screenshot ready, because we're getting ready to put all the data up, one through last place, for how every driver finished for distance. And as you can see, COBRA earns the #1 spot as the longest driver in 2023. So let's put this all in perspective. Most golfers don't think there's that much difference from one driver to the next. Well, guess what? This year's the longest driver, Aerojet LS, 16 yards longer than the Ping 430 SFT. It's almost 2 club lengths on your next shot. I don't know about you, but I'm not playing that SFT if I'm looking for distance. Oh, are you playing the shortest driver in our test? You're back there. All right, so now that we know the COBRA Aerojet LS is the best distance driver for 2023, let's put it up against a couple drivers that you might be looking at right now or interested in demoing and see how it compares to those. Let's take the Aerojet LS versus one of the more shocking finishes this year, the Srixon ZX5 MK2. This finished third this year in distance, which surprised a lot of our testers and a lot of golfers out there when we published the results. So, how much shorter was it than the longest driver in golf? 3.5 yards. That's not that much. So, if you're out there looking for another new driver, give Srixon a try. All right, let's take a look at another driver that you might be looking at in the low spin category, the Ping G430 LST. How did it perform head to head against the Aerojet? Well, 4.5 yards shorter. And while that might not sound like a huge difference, over 14 tee shots and 18 holes, that can be the difference maybe between 1.5 strokes. You never know. So 4.5 yards shorter than the Aerojet LS. So we've talked about claims, we've talked about specs, we've talked about data, but now the nitty gritty. How much are these things gonna actually cost you? Well, if you are looking to have the longest driver in golf in your bag, it's gonna cost you $550. And actually, in 2023, that's a hell of a good deal. But if you want to save a couple $100, think about the LTDX from last year. It's currently just at around $350, which is a $200 savings. And it's not too bad for one that almost won the Distance King last year as well. All right, one more quick thing about pricing. What about trade-in value? Let's say you already own last year's model and you want to invest in the new one. Trade in, trade up. How much is last year's worth? We looked it up real quick on PGA Tour Superstore's trade-in program, and last year's model currently is worth around $90 if you want to trade it in. So who is the Aerojet LS actually for? Who is it going to benefit the most in a round of golf? Anybody that's looking for distance, this driver is on the top of the list to demo 100%. Give it a shot. And even if you're not looking for distance, you might want to try the Aerojet LS. That being said, buyer beware, it wasn't the most forgiving. All right, let me leave you with this about the COBRA Aerojet LS. One of our testers in here, which bought the Aerojet, said it best. You are not taking this damn driver out of my bag, period. All right, now let's get to the subjective stuff, the look, sound, feel part of the driver. How did it perform with our testers? It didn't take home any awards, but it did perform highly for feel. For people that are looking for the Distance King in 2023, I don't think many of you really care about how it looks, sounds, feel anyway. Give it a try. All right, let's close this out. Kudos to you, COBRA, for backing up your speed claims. They actually did lead to more distance. If you want to see full results, buy the COBRA Aerojet LS or just mess around with our head-to-head tool, head to the links below in the description. And until then, we'll see you on the flip side.